In the first part of this two-part video, I set out with my Jeep kayaking out back to find a nice place to paddle and camp. But all did not go as planned. Bumpy! I got a feeling it gets a little bit worse. Oh no! How do I get out of here? I'm going crazy. There's too many black flies here. Baxter State Park in Maine is not for everybody. And there's no hookups, there's no electrical, there's no sewer, there's not a lot. So what possible reason would anyone endure this madness in the woods of Maine? Stick around and find out, as part 2 is about to begin. After a rough day, sometimes the best way to solve a problem is to sleep on it. In the morning, I traded my crying towel for a map and started planning. I had entered Baxter State Park at Tongue Pond Gate, which is about 18 miles from Millinocket, Maine. I camped at Abel Campground, and since I wanted to kayak, I headed to the areas of open water near Dacey Pond. Well, it is going to rain today, or I should say it is raining today, but I still want to kayak, so you just got to dress for the occasion, grin and bear it. It's going to be fun. Now, to make it a little bit more challenging, I didn't pick a lake that was right by the parking lot. I picked a pond where you have to go down a trail. Quite a ways. The 0.2 miles to Elbow Pond didn't sound like much, but when balancing 70 pounds of kayak and gear, that's 1,000 feet of exercise. Now I have to admit, those soaking wet planks did make me nervous. Whew. That was scary. Oh boy. I am completely drenched in sweat. Any insect repellent that was on me, I've sweated off by now. Well, that was brutal. Yeah, I'm overdressed. Oh my God. But I made it. And it's still raining. So, better get into the rain gear. Actually, I better put on the life vest first. Oh. After a couple of false starts, I finally got to dip my paddle in a Maine pond. At this point, the rain doesn't matter anymore. I was already drenched with sweat, so now I might as well be drenched with rain. Beautiful scenery though. Well, it's always a little bit more magical when you've got a whole pond to yourself. Rain does have its advantages. There is one bonus. When you're out on the water, the bugs aren't as bad. So I'm not fighting them off out here. And I still get to enjoy the beauty of spring. And it is a beautiful time of year. Lots of the trees are still budding, fresh leaves, spring flowers. I mean, yeah, it's great to come out here when bug season is over, but if you can survive the trek in and get out in the open water, you'll appreciate spring a lot more. I had just bought a new action camera, one that was also waterproof, so it was a good time to see how well it worked. Now I'm sure some would expect some spectacular pictures of Mount Katahdin, but it was hidden in the clouds the whole trip. Maybe next time. Well, I'm pretty much like a drowned rat about now, so I think it's time I went back and dried out a little. It was cooling, and it was totally cool. Now for the part I really hate. Everything I did before, I have to do in reverse. I really wish I didn't make that reverse rule. Carrying a kayak is so much easier when you can see where you're going. Here it's Oh, that was tough. That was a workout. And I still have to unload it and get it on the roof of the Jeep. Was it worth it? Hell yeah. But eventually the rain stopped pouring and the birds started singing again. With a little kayaking under my belt, I headed to Daisy Pond to try a trail. Well, at least there's a little break in the weather. It's not raining right now, so hopefully I can go on a little hike. Hey, does this look familiar? Remember the Appalachian? Well, this is the Appalachian Trail. Same thing, but it's the north end. And if I can't make any of these, hopefully at least I can make it there. There are over 200 miles of trails at Baxter, but sadly I only had time for a short one. And it's not that I didn't want to stay, only that it was completely booked for the Memorial Day weekend, and I didn't have a reservation. Near a fork in the trail, an angry squirrel offered directions. I think he was telling me to pause a while and admire his garden. I wish others would heed the voice of nature here, instead of just using it for their dumping ground. Disgusting. As the trail descended, the sound of water could be heard in the distance. This is Maine's version of Niagara Falls. After a little reflecting, it was time to head back. As the shadows deepen, a new world awakens. One where hidden creatures blend in with the darkness. Gnomes appear in the trees, and the Hobbit house has a thatched roof of ferns. On the far side of this boulder lies an octopus, its tentacles entwined around its helpless victim. But from another angle, it takes on a more erotic pose. Perhaps I spend too much time in the forest. Now I have to say I'm not completely sold on this public outhouse idea, because when I use it, I expect a little privacy. You want to invite the public, that's okay. But at least you can't call me a party pooper. What a wonderful evening. It's not too hot, it's not too cold, it's not windy, it's not raining, and there's no bugs. I mean, look at this. There are no bugs. I'm usually swarmed. I guess because I don't have any blood left, they took it all. They're letting me replenish my resources. Well, whatever the excuse, I'll take it. So what was my lesson this trip? Well, it started off a little rough because I was trying to save a little money by finding a cheap place to camp. And that really didn't pay off. I ended up just getting frustrated. If I was smart, I would have booked Baxter State Park right off the bat, and I would have had 3 days to spend here, not just 2. But it's okay, it's worked out good in the end, and I mean, this is a wonderful park, and I haven't even scratched the surface. I've seen absolutely, I've just a couple of little places. I mean, you really need at least a week here to even appreciate part of it. But the other thing is that I think it's wonderful in the spring, but I'd love to see it in the fall. I'm pretty sure I'm going to come back here. It is beautiful. Anyway, I had a wonderful day kayaking, hiking. Haven't had a lot of water, so I better have some of that. That's better. So now I can share my other little pleasure, which in this case is Shipyard Beer Pale Ale from Portland, Maine. Gotta try a Maine beer. Oop, a little bit foamy. It's not bad. American Pale Ale. You know, I think I've had a few too many pale ales in the last little while. I think I'm going to try like a brown ale or a dark ale. IPAs are popular, but you know what? I've had enough. I want something a little darker next time. But for now, this is really good. Well, at least Baxter didn't ban campsite beer.
Oh yeah.
In the morning, I was off again, headed back across the border after a little break from fixing up the cabin. Perhaps a little bit more prepared and a little wiser next time. I'm sure those black flies will sure miss me.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this video, and check out my others as well. And don't forget, keep Maine beautiful.
And if you'd like to see more of the outdoors, please subscribe.